Hey guys, it's your girl B from the High Life TV, and I am here with one of my most requested videos. So about a week ago, I posted on Twitter, Instagram, and my Facebook fan page, you know, like thumbs up, like, retweet, whatever, if you guys wanted to see my top 5 things that every freelancer should have in their work for hire contract. And so many of you responded, you know, with positive likes and retweets and everything else. And also emailed me directly that I decided to put this video together. I was supposed to have it out last week, but had a lot of stuff to do, so I'm getting it out this week before Fashion Week starts so that all of you can protect yourselves and basically be better freelancers. So I did kind of like show one of my contracts, and this is part of my, this is actually a bridal agreement because I separate my contracts. So my bridal agreements are strictly for bridal, strictly for special occasions such as anniversaries, quinceañeras, things of that nature. And then my work for hire agreement, I keep that for all my freelancing. So if I'm working on a movie, if I'm working on a photo shoot, if I'm working on someone's lookbook, something like that. But these top 5 things, everybody needs it, no matter what type of contract you are doing. So let's get started. I have to say my first one is a description of services. It's very self-explanatory. You always need a very detailed description of services. You need the price, you need the quantity, you need to outline any changes, if any. Like for example, when I do a bridal agreement, I always put, okay, this is what the bride is getting. You are getting either traditional or airbrush foundation. You are getting strip lashes. Like I get very, very detailed in it. You're getting a full face of makeup. Anything outside of that will result in an extra charge, and it's very important to put that wording in your contract. And make sure that under each paragraph, there's a little line that says, I have read the paragraph above and I understand and agree. Initial here. Otherwise people can say, oh, I didn't see that, I don't agree with that, you know, all types of other foolishness. But your descriptions of services is what really sets the tone for your contracts, and it really, you know, lets people know that you mean business. So again, with your description of services, you always want to have the full description, detail, you know, airbrush, individual, whether you're doing individual lashes, eyelash extensions, whether or not you're doing strip lashes, whether or not you're doing human hair lashes, mink lashes, whatever you are doing, shimmering eyeshadow, everything needs to be very detailed. You need to have the price, you need to have the quantity, and you need to have changes. And what I mean by changes is that once you sign my contract, 30 days before, prior to the event of any kind, you may not change that contract. Because I've showed up places and I'm thinking that I'm doing 10 people, and I've gotten there and I'm only doing 1, and I ended up owing that person money back. So now you cannot make any changes after. Once that 30 day, you're 30 days out from that event, you cannot make any changes. And if you book me 2 weeks in advance, then the contract is the contract, and you may not make any changes. And you're going to initial next to it that you understand that you can't make any changes. So that is my first one, description of services. 2, payment of services. You're going to describe them. You got the price, you got the quantity, you need to get paid. And what I mean by payments are, if you have any type of payment schedule, you need to have dates, you need to have the amount due at dates. I never call any, on my contract, I never use the word deposit, because people can always go to court and kind of fight you when you say non-refundable deposit. So I always use the phrase retainer. It's very important. When you go to a lawyer, they're going to tell you a retainer. Non-refundable retainer fee, because they are essentially retaining your services. If you're hair and makeup or a photographer, they're retaining your services. So it's a non-refundable retainer. You also want to have any type of consequences for non-payment. For instance, if you don't pay me on the due date, I reserve the right not to show up for non-payment. Initial here that you understand that. So yeah, basically I have it all laid out. And any type of late fees. Now, if someone pays me a day or two late, I do not charge them late fees. What I will charge a late fee on is if it's the day of the event or the photo shoot or the, you know, fashion show and you're late. You don't know what else I have to do in my life. You know, maybe I allotted this 5 hours for you and this 5 hours has magically turned into 7 or 8 hours. You know, that's extra time. You have to pay me late fees for that. So late fees are really, really important, and you need to have like all the consequences of non-payment outlined very clearly in your contract. And make sure that, once again, next to your paragraph of consequences, you initial next to it that they understand these are the consequences if you don't pay. So that's that one. That's number 2, payment of services. Number 3 is one that I get a chuckle. Every time someone looks at it, they always chuckle, but it's not funny. That is my bridezilla / security clause. So again, if I'm dealing with bridal, it's a bridezilla clause. If I'm dealing with a work for hire contract, it is a security clause, because everyone needs to be able to work in a safe, healthy environment. If you are going to jeopardize, you know, not only my kid, but myself, any assistance that I have brought with you, guess what? I'm going to reserve the right to, you know, make a judgment call and say, hey, this is an unsafe environment for myself and the people that I brought with you. So guess what? I'm packing up and I'm getting out of here, and you just lost your retainer, any monies paid, you just lost that for not providing me with a safe environment. Like, sometimes you'd be surprised. I've had everything thrown at me that you can possibly imagine. I've had shoes, I've had combs, I've even had my own curling iron while it was hot thrown at me. So again, if it's not a safe, healthy work environment, then you need to be able to make that judgment call to pack up your things, pack up your assistant's things, and bounce, and still keep the money. So, because at the end of the day, you still got up, you still came, you did your end of the bargain. Because these people want to act crazy, that's not your problem. So that is like a really, really, really huge clause in everyone's contract, to have like some type of security clause. And again, underneath, you have the client initial that they read that and that they fully understand and agree with your terms for security. Number 4, ooh, I'm going through this really quickly, I like it, is a disclosure. I think that this mainly really goes towards people like myself who do hair and makeup, and we deal with a lot of different products who may or may not have chemicals. We deal with a lot of products that may or may not have natural ingredients. You know, some, like, people need to disclose to you any sensitivities, any allergies, any skincare medications that they may or may not be taking. You know, you'd be surprised how taking something as simple as birth control and using a paraben or some type of chemical that may or may not be in the foundation, it can have a bad reaction on someone's skin. If someone has eczema, you need to know this. If you're working with their head and they have eczema in their scalp, which is quite common, you need to know this. I use a brush cleaner called Perry and Spirit. It has like some type of citrus oil in it. What if someone has a citrus allergy? And I'm using brushes that have been cleaned in basically like a citrus cleaner. I need to know these things. So basically, it's a disclosure in the contract that says not only does the person receiving the services, but all persons involved in receiving services must disclose any allergies, medical conditions, skincare medications that they are taking, you know, any type of anything that's wrong with their scalp, if they have eczema, you know. And it also says that if they have something like lice, you reserve the right not to service them. So these are all really, really important things that you need to know. And I've actually gone a step further. In my disclosure, I also include in there that there is a separate client form that must be filled out. If it is not filled out by all parties involved, I reserve the right not to service you. And basically, this separate form, it just goes through the same thing that I talked about. Your name, your age, if you're taking any type of medicines, if you're taking retina A, if you're taking any type of acne creams or moisturizers or things like that. That's all it is. So if you guys want another video on my client form, thumbs up this video and definitely let me know, and I will be sure to post it a lot faster than I posted this one, but I'll be sure to post it. The final one is a very, very, very important part of my contract, especially within these last couple years living on the East Coast. The weather has gotten absolutely bananas. It's gotten crazy. So the last thing that I've also added to my contracts is a force majeure. Now, I believe it's French, and I believe I'm pronouncing it correctly, but I am not 100% sure. But basically, what a force majeure is a natural event that is outside of your control, such as snowstorms, hurricanes. Hopefully this will never happen, but martial law and flooding and things of that nature. I had to include this because on the East Coast for the past couple of years, this weather has gotten absolutely bananas. And I found myself, you know, not because of me and not because of the client, you know, it was neither one of our faults that unfortunately like this natural disaster happened. I think a couple years ago I was supposed to do a wedding, and it was, I want to say it's like 4 years ago, and we ended up having like 42 inches of snow. Where exactly was I going in 42 inches of snow? Where were they going? They actually ended up having to cancel their wedding due to all of this snow. So that is why a lot of professionals now are including, excuse me, a force majeure in their contracts, simply to protect themselves and also to protect the client. Now, in the instance of a force majeure, which is basically like a natural disaster or some type of weather occurrence, something like that that you can't help, it's neither party's fault. So you need to decide on whether or not you're going to refund your client's money. I have chosen to refund my client's money less a percentage because it's neither one of our faults. It's not that I didn't come, it's not that I didn't want to come, it's not that the client acted crazy or anything like that. It is out of both of our hands. So therefore, I think that, you know, in those instances, the client deserves to have a majority of their money refunded. So with that being said, those are my top 5 things that every person needs, every freelancer, I should say, needs in their work for hire contract. Now again, I did my contract, but I also had it looked over by a lawyer. So that's also important, to have a legal professional look over your work for hire contract just to make sure that you're abiding by the laws of your state. So I am going to post a couple links to some resources. I don't know if you guys know, I am in between Philly and my hometown of Brooklyn, New York. So I actually work with the Small Business Association in New York. I do know of a Small Business Association also in Philadelphia, but those are the only 2 that I know about. I will say this, that I know every college has a business center, which also includes like a small business association that will help out people either free of charge or at a very minimum charge. So, but I cannot stress to you, it is the best money ever spent to have a lawyer look over your contract and just make sure that you're abiding by the laws of your state. It's really, really, really very, very, very important, because unfortunately there are some shady people out there and you need to protect yourself. So I will be posting links to the small business associations down below, and I'll be posting more information on my website, and I'm going to put a link to that also down below. So again, if you guys want another video on my client form, which goes along with the disclosure portion of my contract, remember, thumbs up this video, leave a comment, send me an email, you know, hit me up on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, whatever, and I will be sure to have that up for you guys. Until next time, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for watching. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram, B. Wilson Beauty, on Facebook, B. Wilson Beauty, and until next time, mwah, love you guys.